And the guy was seeing me like, this boy is working too hard. I didn't know that I was building my own stuff.
Your stuff, yeah.
And then that's how they increased my salary. But anyway, back to the story.
Yeah, nice.
So I started teaching people how to do videos, and then it got to a point, and the story I wanted to tell you.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, so I had made up my salary, I saved up. I was like, you know what, I'm ready to go buy my first camera. I went to Computer Village, right? I didn't know anything about cameras.
Okay.
I just went to Computer Village, just walked into a random store and just told the guy, I need a camera. I said, what do I want to do with the camera? I said, something that can do video and photo.
Yeah.
He just brought out something and gave to me. Like, I don't know. I hear that guy, that guy, God probably just sent him to me because that guy would have sold me crap and I would have bought it.
Fufu.
Yeah. I would have bought it without even blinking because I didn't know any. I just told him, does it come on? Does it on?
Oh, that's all.
He turned it on and showed me. I was like, okay, 250,000. I actually had to even borrow something like 60K from my friend to add to the money.
Wow.
And that camera actually started my journey. It's when I went home with the camera, I went on YouTube. I'm never going to forget. Think Media really helped me.
I love Think
He really helped me like learn videos, right? So I then started watching like tons and tons and tons of videos.
Hello and welcome to the Startup Lens. This is the first ever live podcast by the Made in Africa podcast, powered by Jamit Studios. And I'm more than happy, honestly, to have you guys launch this first section of the show for us. Welcome.
It's a pleasure.
Amazing. So I'm going to do a quick introduction of our guests shortly. But before then, I just want to speak a little about the Startup Lens and how we came about the idea, basically. Honestly, it was quite random. Ike, the founder here at Jamit, he has suggested, why don't we host a live podcast and see what that would be like? And we basically ran with that very random suggestion, and we are here today. But the essence of the Startup Lens really is to dive into business operations and principles, basically what startups need, or startup founders need to go from point 0 to point 1, right? The Made in Africa podcast itself, before now, focused on telling the stories of successful African founders, right? Walking us through their journeys, but not necessarily diving deep into what it takes to actually run a business, a successful business. And that is why the Startup Lens is here. So for this particular edition, which is the first, we are going to be looking at trends that have happened this year and key events, and then also later we'll dive into your expertise and have you guys share what we think founders need to know at this point in time in running their businesses. So a very quick introduction. By my immediate left, I have Mr. Gbenga. Mr. Gbenga was former VP at Wakanow. Thank you for doing this with us, Mr. Gbenga.
Thank you very much for having me.
Amazing. And also by my left, just joining us is Luther Lawoyin. Luther is co-founder and CEO at PricePally. Welcome, Luther.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Amazing. And next we have Omolara Sanni. She's co-founder and chief of operations at Midddleman. Welcome, Omolara.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for doing this with us. And to my extreme left, we have Datamellon. Datamellon is AI and ML engineer at Datamellon. Welcome, Datamellon.
Thank you for having me.
Amazing. I think with that, we can dive right into it. So I think I'll be starting with Gbenga.
All right.
Yeah. So basically, I know you just told me earlier this week that you're no longer at Wakanow.
Yeah.
But before you left, can you share what you were doing at Wakanow, basically, and some of the, should I say, key events that you say off the top of your head that you can remember that has shaped your experience at Wakanow?
Thank you very much. My background was with aviation. That I presided over like 3 foreign airlines as country sales manager, and done a bit of subject matter expertise with some venture capitalist companies where I had to manage some new businesses that were emerging and all that over a period of time. I've also done some things in consulting as well. So joining Wakana was more like a different scenario entirely. That is a online travel agency, but it's an hybrid. By hybrid means you are in a peculiar market where everything is not fully automated because you are looking at infrastructure, looking at trust, banking issues. So we don't have a full OTA, online travel agency in Nigeria, in Africa, I would say. The likes that for what you have all over the world, Sky Canals, Expedia, and Co. So having to work there, coming from the airline side, was a drastic change because now you have a travel agency that works with all the airlines, not just one now. So it was a different ecosystem that you have to now combine both offline and online work. The transition over time, how I evolved, having to work from the holidays business, partnership with the airline. Then you now went to the consolidator business, where you were managing business, a division that was about 30 to 40% of the whole business. And
Wow.
the key thing is it was a great learning curve that you had to learn a lot about technology. You had to learn a lot about marketing, operations, how to harness people together, how to do collaborations, how to do leverage on partnerships, how to understand the way finance works, how to knowledge I brought into the business as well. The whole lot you have to learn collaborative work. And even though we had a lot of sub-units, I would say startups, that you have to start up different travel centers, open new travel centers. We have to open all across Africa, different new offices all across Africa, even in the UK. So there were a lot of learnings there that we can relate to in terms of how startups should work, how startups should function, collaboration, the impact of regulation, the impact of devaluation on the business, which also affects startups, really, government policies. Any small policy at all impact our business because the business is predominantly driven by forex, exchange rate devaluation, fluctuation policies that impact the travel space, any foreign policy impacts practically everything, just like during the period of COVID. The most impacted industry were more like aviation and travel.
Tourism,
Travel and tourism was greatly impacted, and it took time for it to recover. So there were a lot of learnings for me, and the greatest learning is learning collaborative work, understanding the use of technology and marketing, or now you can use all those things to power your business, and also the leverage on partnerships. And partnership is one of the key things I think. What will I say is founders of startups need to start leveraging on, because partnership takes you a lot faster. Instead of saying you want to go on your own,
find someone who
you
has
have to start looking at partnerships.
Similar.
How do I partner across all sectors and find strengths across globally as well, and how you can quantum and scale, and being able to recognize that some people have the capacities that you don't have. And where you can collaborate with that and leverage on that to scale.
Fantastic. I mean, you touched on so many points that we are actually going to discuss much later. So I'm happy that that is out there already. Luther, please tell us a little bit about PricePally and the problem exactly that PricePally is trying to solve here in Nigeria and possibly Africa as a whole.
Thanks for the opportunity.
So what we're building is basically to solve
prices are kind of coming down. We're looking at how to match that to the supply that we have. Can store, how we can make the most of the value that we get. So if we're able to solve that first layer of match by saying, normally it should be what it should be at the federal level or even at the government level kind of thing. But we are doing it level at which we can. So for us to predict ahead, is we can work directly with farmers to also let them, with our data, ahead of what our demand is. They are sure it's a better way for them to farm because they are sure of the harvest. They are sure of supply. They are sure. So it makes more sense that way. So before you now look at, there are also other problems that need to solve side by side. It's very complex. But at least if you're able to get the foundation sorted out, you can make sure you are looking at infrastructure. If you just say, there's lack of infrastructure and all that, what's the best way to even
attack that?
We have farmers spread across many areas, many rural areas. That even for us as a startup, it makes no sense to aggregate those farmers. For us to go to each of the farmers, the cost and everything is multiplied.
True.
But can we have together and have them harvest together, and we're able to lift those harvests and supply directly to the demand that's available? If we're able to do that, then and at the country level that also happens, then you will have significant countries solved. Then that can also inform what you want to fix. What you need to, what farmers you need to connect, what highway you need to do, where the farmers' activities most. So it's all things like that. But what we are doing at the moment is to make that up. And at the end of the day, to the customer, we want food to be affordable. We want it to be available, and we want it to be as convenient.
Fantastic. Amazing. We are going to be coming back to the infrastructure problem because let me not spill that now. Omolara, yes, I'm excited about Midddleman. Can you tell us what exactly Midddleman does again? I know you've come on the show before, but yes, for those of us that are not aware, Omolara and Luther have been guests on the Made in Africa podcast, so we're happy that they were able to make out the time again to do this with us. So please,
thank you for having me again. So what we basically do at Midddleman is very simple. A lot of businesses today that buy from China, they find it very difficult to find trusted businesses who can fund their Alipay wallet. So a lot of the time they buy from platforms like 1688.com, Taobao, and they check out with their Alipay wallet. So the problem that we are solving for them today is access as well as safety of their funds. Because today, a lot of the times I've seen people cry on camera to say that, they've been scammed, so amount, they're trying to get RMB and all of that. So we solve that for them by aggregating trusted BDCs in one place. And then they're able to convert their Naira to RMB and we fund their Alipay wallet. Also, we want to serve a different segment of the market. Think of the guys that sell in Alaba market, Idumota market, and the guys in Aba. A lot of them also buy from China. And a lot of the time, they have to source dollar manually, wait weeks for their transactions to be processed. So with the new integration that we are currently working on, these guys are going to be able to convert their Naira directly to Chinese yuan and make payments into their suppliers' Chinese bank accounts very easily.
Fantastic. Midddleman, when you were on the show earlier, you said you were working on a payment solution. We're going to get back to that as well in this. And again, congrats for crossing 1 billion Naira in total transactions. I mean, that's fantastic.
Thank you.
Yeah. Datamellon, over to you. Yes, AI is everywhere. I met Datamellon at a tech mixer a couple weeks back. And he was presenting this. I was blown, quite frankly, because I've been thinking of how if every industry needs AI, right? Because it's everywhere, businesses and founders feel they have to have some form of AI solution attached to whatever it is they're building, whether to spark interest in their business from the investor side or just to jump on the trend. And I never in my life thought it could go into the Nigerian justice system. But Datamellon and Datamellon, they are doing that already. I was blown away. So Datamellon, tell us a little bit more about what you guys are doing at Datamellon.
All right. So basically, Datamellon is a company that helps startups, SMBs, and enterprise, even government processors to, to help them build and deploy their solutions on the cloud. We basically help through their journey from, let's say, your traditional on-prem infrastructures to move into the cloud, or if you want to build your application on the cloud natively. So we help you through that journey. And of course, we don't just do it, we do it in a modernized way. Do you understand? We leverage modern technologies, the modern paradigms, and even modern innovations. Like Christian said that we have with the generative AI and everything, we are helping businesses look at different use cases that you can apply generative AI to in your solution. I was having a discussion with a friend of mine not too long, and I was like, okay, the way it is, everybody just finding a way to chip in AI into everything. Look at our setup, for example. Everybody here is a startup, and they just find one way to find this guy that's going to talk about AI and just, just chip it in. Okay, that guy that's going to speak about it, just chip it in. And then, for example, I won't be surprised if someone is starting the business of selling bread and akara by the roadside, and is telling you that, I have an AI service that can help you take your order and do whatever. We could get there. So it's going to be a very, very interesting times. People might think, okay, AI is the future. That is wrong.
Oh, really?
It is now. If you are not doing anything, you have been left behind. So people are doing really amazing stuff with AI as it is.
So you genuinely believe that every business can benefit from AI?
Definitely.
Oh, wow. Interesting. I mean, we're going to dive a little bit deeper into that. But for now, I have specific questions. From your experience, Gbenga.
Yeah.
I mean, you've traveled around the world, right? How much of an... Trying to be modest. How much of an impact does travel have on the success of a founder and entrepreneur in terms of broadening perspective and being exposed to probably how businesses are run in other parts of the world?
The thing about it is, hearing him talk about agriculture, when you go to places like Morocco, Egypt, if you see what those guys have done with our agriculture, they're like 20 years ahead of us.
Wow.
Whether it comes to fishing, whether it's farming, like he was talking about AI, AI has always been around. It's just that people have been, way back where I didn't train as an auditor. I work in Virgin Nigeria. They moved me to risk assessment departments. They were trying to penalize me for always being an outlier. I've always been an outlier. I fight the system. I challenge status quo. I'm never afraid of it, no matter what you do. So they moved me to risk assessment audits. I was the first employee to be on performance improvement plan because I just couldn't allow the status quo to be. So when I got there, I just tried to relate it with AI before I go back into what traveled. So I got there, risk assessment department. You're going to be like an auditor and all that. I've never done that in my life. I found out there were programs online. There were programs online. There was a site that I did some research. I found out that some sites that already have programs that you can use to audit anything within the system. That's AI as at that time. But people did not understand it has always existed. So they know, like he said, it's not that it's the future, it's already here. It has always been here. And I think the internet penetration tech is making it, because everything is now getting into the area where tech is now powering and driving everything. So you have no choice to now start leveraging AI to do the work smarter and do it better. So going back to the lives of Morocco and Egypt I was talking about, food is not a main problem in that society. Food is cheap. And because they've been able to solve the issue of infrastructure, being able to produce the best seedling that will generate enough harvest to take care of people, they've been able to create an ecosystem around. Like one of the things they mentioned about not being able to produce enough to meet demand because you need data. Data is what helps you plan, whether as a farmer, because you also need data because you are looking at seasons. Some things will not come in a particular season. Yeah. So what are you going to do? What about the issue of storage?
Yeah.
What about the issue of the ecosystem you create around being able to process things into other things? That you have them at every season, those things are available. So what travel does is, I think if you don't travel, I've always said when people go online and start teaching and telling Nigerians things, we see a Nigerian that is jumping all over the place, at least they increase the price of this one also in UK. Why are we complaining? They increase in Nigeria. The price of road transportation buses have not increased in how many years in the UK? If it increases, it's marginal. And the average spend of somebody in the UK, the amount he spends on transportation is not even 20% of his income. An average Nigerian will spend maybe 50% of income on transportation. What that means is that if you tilt the price of petrol, it messes up your whole life. So in the UK, I don't need to have a car. I don't need to have a car. The public transportation is heavily subsidized, easily accessible, affordable, that you can plan a life around it. So you are not making your income to put on transportation. So what travel does, is the best way to educate people. You are trying to do something, for example, all the things they are trying to do in agriculture. Just take a journey to a place like Morocco. I tell people, you don't even need to go to Europe. Take a journey to a place like Rwanda. Take a journey to a place like Morocco, Egypt, and go see how people have been able to solve this problem. I think it expands your mind. So that by the time you return, you can understand the kind of collaborations you can do with guys on the other side to address some of those concerns here. Traveling is the best way. Traveling to systems where things work. People don't know Algeria has one of the most sophisticated rail transportation. Oh, wow. And so when we are celebrating what we have in Lagos, transportation train, the first question I ask is how many people can it pick daily? Where is it integrated into? Is it integrated to all the bus stops? Is it integrated into every community? Because is it integrated to all markets? Because when you see places like China that is so massive, and you see the train system, you even see some cities like maybe somewhere like Alimosho. When you go into places like that in China, or what do you call it now, in Taiwan and all that, they are just like you have Shoprite. Shoprite is created for people in your level. In South Africa, Mr. Price, Shoprite, all those places are places for people that stay maybe in Alimosho. It's not created for elites. So those systems have been able to create an ecosystem that for every strata of the society, there's something that's created for you. And those things comes based on data. Data is what helps people plan. And if founders that are doing things in Nigeria, startups, don't begin to understand that, look, I think you need to take a journey of learning. When you have forums happening abroad, you have shows happening abroad that speaks to your sector. I think when you go to such places, you learn, you see how it really works. And when you see how it really works, you can now begin to find a way to create such kind of journey where you are. So traveling, it's one of the fastest way to learn. It exposes your mind, it broadens your horizon. You are not limited in terms of, because you're not limited in terms of what you can do, what you can put in place where you are. So I think and the problem is affordability to an extent. Exactly. Affordability to a large extent impacts how people are able to make that. But for me, I think founders should start looking at how. I have a friend that is a chef. A chef in Abuja. I just saw her wearing lab coats on Instagram today. What are you doing with lab coats? Are you planning to buy technology or what? He said she's learning gastronomical science. Wow. Gastronomical science, which relates to most of the things she's doing. I said, wow. She's thinking far ahead. She's going to broaden her and their HQ now goes to another country. They now have a minimal base here. Check most of the unicorns.
That is actually very true. I think this problem also ties into the next question I was going to ask you. Same infrastructure. Yes. I mean, shipping into Nigeria, I think is the most expensive anywhere.
Yeah.
Bringing stuff into just a billion naira in total transactions. People are still buying stuff from outside.
Yeah, but they used to buy more than that. We should have done more than that if the country was better. So we took a trip to one of the building material markets in Lagos.
Okay.
And then we sort of had the conversation with the traders there. And they were lamenting about, imagine a trader that used to import 5 containers at once. They are not able to import 1 or 2.
Oh,
like things are really bad. It's not growing anywhere.
I think you're seeing digital marketing.
Yeah, it's not.
Maybe when you see that at home, I just saw that stuff.
That's the work of people like in AI.
Yeah. So, but what do you think is affecting? I mean, yes, the tariffs and the way the inefficiencies around how the ports operate in Nigeria are contributions to these problems. But also, do you think? Actually, I think that's also a problem. Infrastructure, right? Because I was reading on what makes an economy grow steadily a while back, and they had like ranked a few indexes. I cannot really remember the exact terminologies, but one of the key players there is for an economy to be able to grow in consistently, to be able to predict if an economy will grow. One of the basic things should be infrastructure, especially getting things from the port to the final destination. And I don't think we've hacked that yet. I don't think we've hacked that yet. So, what do you think can be done, really, from your own perspective?
So, apart from the infrastructure that you mentioned, the exchange rate also really contributed. So, imagine people used to import maybe like $8 per kg. But $8 at the time was like how much compared to what it is now. So I think the exchange rate number one is one of the major problems that we have, and the infrastructure you mentioned as well. The time that it takes for you to clear, the cost of clearing, the cost of bringing something into the country, what it will cost you to now bring it from Apapa or wherever the port is to the final destination. So it's really back to our government, to be honest.
That's
ridiculous. You buy a car for 3 million, you're carrying it for like 10 million.
Wow. It's crazy.
That's crazy.
So, do you think there's a place for us having conversations with? I mean, it's even almost impossible to access stakeholders in government that can implement policies that favor startups. I mean,
the startup rules, something.
Exactly.
I think those guys should be able to. The startup act.
Since last year, we've not seen the effects till now.
I think they are still cooking.
along with the launch, they announced a fund as well. We've not seen anything about that fund.
I think one of the things that needs to be done is ensure that the voice of what we are trying to see happen is continually being reinforced. I'm talking about whether you have to find platforms where you bring the key stakeholders in that place in government, the policy movers, and ensure they are part of those conversations. And if we don't do things that make them involved, like you're talking about clearing of goods that you're talking about now, where the head of customs should be there, the person that is the chairman of ports, then they can talk about those issues and they can hear suggestions. And you keep doing that consistently. At one point, maybe the Senate Committee on Ports or whatever. So those are the kind of conversations we should be having, because no matter how brilliant ideas are, the culture of a place or the policies can eat up your strategy. No matter how brilliant our strategy, just one policy alone eats up everything overnight. So I think we have to start having conversations having a podcast like this, you drag one of them to that podcast. You drag two of them to that podcast. You are having a major
something else.
No, you can't access them because some of them like to talk.
Yeah.
You will find once you can really showcase what you are doing, the direction. They like to show themselves. They like to be a part of change. They like to be seen, to be advocates. I'll tell you, by the time they see some of the things you are doing now is trending, they will come. And that's how those conversations happen at Senate committee. Those are where they have all those conversations. I know it's going to be a tough journey, but that's how we begin to do some of those things. But if private sector startups are having independent conversations, driving their own advocacy, but these people are not involved in some of the things we are doing, there is no way we begin to influence, because that's how we influence social change.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah,
that's how we influence social change. So, and as we begin, we need to hear from their perspective as well. There are a lot of politics going on there as well. So they need to be involved. It's social change. It's a nightmare in a place where you don't have corporate, we don't have governance really. In a true sense of governance.
Yes, that is very true.
Just to add to that, I think one other way that has worked is when startups prove themselves. They get that attention. And from that attention, you can start to leverage that, because, to be honest, I've not been involved in politics and governance before, but I can imagine that it's way crazier than what I'm going through with PricePally. That looks like it's crazy. Because you are looking at all sorts of interest, all sorts of, it's really messed up.
Yes.
So anybody in that system that wants to make a change will definitely go through hell. You won't get that change, or you might not even get that change. So, for instance, we've had the commissioner of agriculture visit what we do. And she was very excited to see that, okay, this guy's actually solving this problem. And she could see how our solution could plug into some of the plans that they have and things like that. And I'm saying that despite the fact that it's hard to, I'm not very comfortable with that statement.
That's okay. That, you cannot out innovate. It's very true.
But still,
it's not
an absolute.
It's not an absolute.
Everything could be upside down. You still bring out something,
because you will still shine in the midst of that, because it's dysfunctionality. So it's easy to see problems being solved.
Exactly.
It can be very hard. It will probably take you a lot more
and resources. Exactly.
But it's very possible. And I think that's one advantage that startups can, if you can face it and bring it and get out of that and show them this is what can work, you get their attention. And so, but a lot has to, like he's saying as well, a lot has to change as to how we engage them, how people also see what the private sector is like.
There's a whole lot.
It's a whole lot.
As a matter of fact, I think I find it interesting because some of them do like to take these ideas, like when they communicate or speak with startup, and take it as their own. Because everybody wants something good attached to their name. So they can take it to the house that this is an idea, and they talk about it, that this is what we can do. So I really appreciate the fact that I said that we need to involve them. Because whenever we discuss like this, they can take it back as, if we don't mind if it's the idea that we don't mind.
Yes, do it.
So
even if they have to be an advocate and champion, we don't care. We need this thing solved.
So I've seen cases like that. So it's definitely an important thing that we involve them, have that kind of conversation.
Because at the end of the day, we're all stakeholders in Nigeria.
Yeah.
But when you say you should involve them, you think that what happened in Lagos State was it 2021 or 2022? With the likes of Gokada, Max.ng. I mean, Sanwo-Olu was hugging these people and shaking hands with them, and but the next day there was a policy that almost wiped out their business. So how do you handle that?
Exactly. Recently, as well, 100K Max 1.2
cash.
Yes.
Can we take 100,000 cash?
Exactly, to the ATM, yes, and withdraw cash.
I can see the effect of that.
Because now you can't find cash on any ATM. So if you are saying that and you're not sanctioning the banks for not, because look, you can't say POS If I want to collect money now, I don't even think about the banks anymore.
True.
Because every single time I've walked into any bank, whether in Lekki, anywhere, they don't have cash. And at one point when they were even limiting cash to 5,000 naira.
Yes.
Why would I go into a bank?
So if I want to collect
just
50,000, how many times are you going to charge me?
Yeah, just last
So
week.
if you are putting that in place, what kind of enforcement are you putting in place to ensure
What
the
punishment?
banks
You give
fund?
to them.
Because some of these POS people are even owned by the people that work in the bank.
Mm.
So
Sure.
it's like back
But yes, exactly.
They want
Yeah,
money.
true that.
Yeah.
Yes.
If you force them, I think that should force them.
Yeah.
to-
And you know what is even ridiculous is you find cash at weddings. than at ATM.
Yeah.
Than
And
the
you're
bank.
asking yourself, where did these mint notes come from?
Yeah, exactly.
It's coming from CBN and the banks.
Exactly.
POS, you get mint notes.
Yes.
I mean, I also saw a news where they said they are fining some banks for selling mint to.
They can
big guys.
afford to pay the fines.
Yes,
Look at
they
the
can,
trillions
but-
that
So they made more than
By
the
and large,
fine.
yeah, exactly. They are making so much money.
So
Just-
look, the problem with Nigeria is people don't really get sanctioned.
Mm.
There's no really strong punitive
Yeah.
action against bad behavior.
Mm.
Bank CEOs work free.
Mm.
They do, look at the humongous profit they declare.
Yeah.
And you can't get funds in ATMs.
It's-
Across board,
it's-
everywhere.
it's quite
So,
sad.
but if government wants to sanitize any sector, it comes with punitive sanctions.
Yeah.
Sanctions that will shake the old space.
Yeah.
Because you are telling me I can't get more than 100,000 cash from a POS. Why I can't get from the bank?
Mm.
Bank ATMs. I have to go queue at the bank to withdraw cash.
Exactly.
Who does that these days? The world has moved on.
You know, I want us to talk a little bit more about this, but we have our two other guests online as well. Ike
Okay.
and Irene, if you can hear us, please. Hello, Ike, can you hear me? Ike, can you hear us? Irene, can you also hear us? I want to get Ike on. Okay, 2 more minutes. So, question for you, Datamellon.
Oh, 2 minutes delay.
Wow.
Interesting.
That is going to be tricky.
That's a lot.
Yes.
Yeah.
Actually.
Datamellon, like we said earlier, AI is everywhere. Much like the way the internet changed our lives as humans, basically. I think the internet might be the single greatest invention since electricity. And and AI is appearing to be something similar that will totally change the way we live our lives. What do you think? I mean, it has come so far between last year and this year. What do you think has influenced the quick growth and the proliferation of artificial intelligence globally?
All right. So it's very interesting, right? Because I don't know. I just find my way piggybacking on what something has mentioned. He said AI has been around, and that's true for a very long time. The concept, even like a very minimal demonstration, it has been around for a very long time. But the difference from what we have then and now is our innovation in technology. For example, compute. As at then, we know that, okay, we wanted to create something that can do something like this, but we couldn't have like an infrastructure to carry it out. You know, RAM were very small. We have CPU that could just do very minimal calculations. But then now you can have like basically what you have in your phone is enough to power what powered Apollo 16 to the moon. So that's how advanced we've come. And then the second thing is the data. Now the data that we are generating is crazy. About 38 to 36 zettabytes.
Wow.
It's
I can't
way,
even-
yeah,
I
it's way
can't
past
even-
it's way
I
past
can't
terabytes
process
and
that.
terabytes now and petabytes now.
Yeah.
So and we are generating more and more every day.
Yeah.
And that's because this data is what is necessarily needed to feed this generative AI, or let me just say AI in
models,
general, to feed this AI for it to train and learn to do the things it can do.
Yeah.
So that's the second thing that's, you know. Then the third thing, which actually comes to the trend in the last 2 years, and that's the democratization of AI. everybody can access it.
No, yeah, true.
You know, before it can just be like within Google will just tell you tomorrow that, oh, we made this product that can do this and that, and before you know it, it's not out there.
Yeah.
But you know that they've done something.
Yeah.
But then OpenAI just came 2 years ago and like, we've created a large language model. Ask us any question you want, it's going to answer you intelligently.
Yeah.
And what was the difference? Everybody had access to it. Free.
Yeah.
So you could go there and just try it out yourself. And then people are like, this is amazing, this is interesting. And because people have picked the interest, right? And people have started thinking, you know, of different, you know, very, very interesting and innovative way to make use of that product. Everybody just started jumping on it. Okay, AI is here, AI is a new thing. How do we do? We started from just content creation. Now we've evolved to agents. So we started from just, okay, write something for me, create an image of this. But now we are not getting to like, okay, perform this action if you are able to generate something on a particular condition. So you could say if a customer is coming to your website to make an inquiry, right? Give that customer a feedback and send an email through an email. You could do that now, and it's you don't have to allow a human does not necessarily have to be in that loop. That's where we got to, and we are moving further than that, right? So these trends are what made you know AI so popular and well blown up.
Fantastic. Another question. You mentioned the availability of data now to train these models. Do you think that is true for Nigeria? You know, per our last conversation at the mixer, you had mentioned how it was difficult for you to access data to train the model you were building for the Nigerian justice system.
Yeah.
I know that Nigeria, we are terrible at not only collecting data, but storing them.
True.
Across industries. I mean, you go online and you're trying to do market research on an idea, for example, but you can be sure that 90% of what you're seeing out there is unreliable information, data that you can't really make informed business decision off of, right? How do you think we can solve that problem here in Nigeria since you are playing in that space?
So it's a very, very big question. I'm not going to lie to you. And I don't necessarily think I can categorically say how we can solve it. But then, you know, I've had this, not necessarily have that conversation, but I've been in a room where startup founders and their CTOs and the likes, like top startup in Nigeria, we're having this same conversation. And this was the problem that we stated that we have. That's the data, the collection of data. We don't have enough data. We're not generating. Okay, we are generating a lot of data, but we are not storing them. Or, for example, in the financial space, if you want to work with all the data being generated at different financial services, right? When you start comparing it, there's a lot of disparity. And before you start aggregating and looking at comparison for you to make one meaningful data set, it's a lot of work. While in other places, you already have a standard for creating, storing your data. So when you're getting data from A from B, you know that it's going to be like
regulation. It's about regulation.
Yeah. So it's a very big problem, and I think that's one of the problems that we need to solve.
Yeah.
And I think there's something going on in the public sector now with this one window. I want to remember the name, but it's kind of like a way to like bring about all our information, your NIN, BVN, everything. No,
I think we've seen this script before.
They've never aggregated. There are times that you even have data aside from storage. They've not been able to aggregate. The number one sector that you can get data on people from is telecoms. If you because when they keep repeating all these things, I'd say when you keep doing the same thing and get the same result, what do they say those people are? So you have the telecom sector, they even have more data than the banks.
They do.
How many people have bank accounts? Compare the telecoms. They have more data than the bank. They unbanked, they have SIM card. If you are looking for any data anywhere, it's the telecoms. So the question is, how do you get your national security to work with the telecoms to be able to have everybody unique identification in the system? This the easier. That's what they've done in places like Impasa in Kenya and all that. They leverage telecommunication. That's where you can see everybody borrows money with their phone.
Yeah.
They borrow money with their phone. So you can solve all those problems if you have regulation. It starts from regulation. Everything starts from regulation. You have public sector people, you can't find any data online. You're doing anything in the public sector, you want to do any research. For example, I was trying to do research of total passenger traffic, Nigeria, and all that, people that flow into Nigeria, inbound and outbound. It's only one company that has access. You can't find it online. You can't find any information on the total number of passenger traffic, inbound and outbound in Nigeria online. You can't. You can't. You can tell your AI to do it. The AI will get tired. Trying to aggregate, is putting a lot of data. But at the end of the day, like you said, it's not structured data. So if I now need the structured data, I know who to go to. Guy, this now. So we're now sourcing for data behind the line. So I think we're a society that are very secretive. Till today, the last time we think population census, I think was in 2010. So when we keep saying, is it 2006?
Yeah, 2006.
So if you now say you want to take care of your people, how do you even do government policy when you don't know the population size? When you don't even know who lives where and where? When you say the social number, we have social number of school children. How are you allocating educational budget without even knowing the number where they are? You say you are feeding children out of school. Where did you get that data? So data is king. Data is what helps us plan. And so we're a society that we don't want that data to be there. Politicians don't want data to be out there. They don't want data to be in real time. They don't want data to be aggregated so that they can use it to rig election. And at least you have a state that the number of people that what the person won by is different. Is higher than the total number of people that. So that's the problem. So when you run public sector is supposed to be the life of any economy. The public sector. Then when you have going back into the port, when you have a custom that thrives on being set target goals on the revenue you have to generate. That is not what happens in other societies. They don't set, they will not be happy. This year we generated so millions. That's not the purpose of customs. Custom is supposed to make import and export seamless. Create an ecosystem that people can bring in things easily. You know, if you're moving a container from the port, just moving from the port to somewhere in Ikeja, do you know how much you will pay? It's about 2-3 million just to move the container. You're not talking about moving the container to other states. It's not the impact. Or people bringing food items from the farms from the north. Do you know how many tolls they meet? Over 50. Even before you leave the farm. So when you now see because I had a friend that went into yam business. He said when he saw the truck, the number of fees they paid on the way before he got to Lagos. He said the guy said he's not doing it again.
You know, I know a transporter who. So what they are doing now is they know that when they see the container, is stupid billing, like through the roof. So what they do is they bring the container from the port, move it to a warehouse, and then break down the goods into different smaller trucks to then transport where they are going to. Because by then, let's assume the total you spend transporting the container as it is like 3 million. At the end of the day, you might spend like 1.5 that way. Yes, because you will still settle no matter no matter what, you will still settle.
So dismember it.
Yes. So you can now imagine how inefficient the entire process becomes just because people are trying to make ends meet and cut down costs. It's quite ridiculous. Irene, if you can hear us, question for you, because Irene works at Infinity Health. So what Infinity Health is doing is basically providing healthcare data to anyone that needs it in Nigeria, basically. So Irene, question for you. What has the challenge been? We're speaking about it just now in Nigeria, how difficult it is to collect data and store it and make it available to people that need it. So whenever you get the question, please feel free to let us know, and then we'll bring you on. So but moving on, Omolara. what are some of the mistakes you keep seeing e-commerce traders making in Nigeria that you think should be worked on in order for them to become probably more profitable or just run their businesses better?
I think the first thing is treating their business like it's a side also. Yeah, because of the condition of the country, a lot of people start businesses just to survive. Yeah. So they are not necessarily trying to build a sustainable business, something that would outlive them, that kind of stuff. Yeah. And then when I see startups trying to build products to say that, oh, we want you to be able to sell globally, I'm always like, a lot of these guys are not even interested in that. They just want to eat. They're not supposed to be able to eat. So I think that's like the major, the first mistake, right? And because of that, I feel like there has to be like a lot of education around that to help them understand that even though you started this as a side also, it can really become something bigger. And it's part of our own future plan at Midddleman to sort of fill that knowledge gap in the e-commerce space. Yeah, helping them understand how to run a business in terms of marketing, structure, sales, and all of that. Yeah.
Interesting.
That's good.
Luther, I was saying that Lagos is now building storage facilities for food. What can you say about that?
Wow, I think it's a very welcome development.
Right.
Yeah, I'm hoping that it's the structure they put there continues after the administration. I'm hoping that they actually eventually fix it.
Yeah.
Because that's like basic things that we need.
True.
Yeah, there are all sorts of angles to it. All sorts of issues around it that would probably make it difficult to work. Because I'm thinking of how it will be powered, and all sorts of things. But at least they are taking those foundational steps, and it's very, very important. I think they got it right this time. What they are doing. Because they have a main hub and they have hubs around Lagos, and the infrastructure they are looking at is across multiple products, from your frozen to your
fresh,
your dry.
Because I was just about to ask that.
So it makes a lot of sense. I just hope that the ecosystem they're building that world too can also integrate into it. But there's another problem with how the level at which the producers of food in Nigeria play today. A lot of people are, like you said, a lot of people are not, they are surviving. Many farmers to survive, it's not exactly wanting to like
change, how things are being done.
Yeah,
just sustenance farming.
Yeah, for those crops to be able to have the amount of inputs that's needed, you need the producing side to be at that level as well, at the level at which of professionalism or capacity and those things. So I'm very excited about it. I'm following it up every time. Anytime I hear news about the progress, I'm always excited about it because apart from the fact that I'm in the business, just makes
much more sense.
That we have those kind of infrastructure. True. And I'm really hoping that beyond the infrastructure, the system that's put in place can make it, because that's what we have in Nigeria, where the government starts something, when it's out of the government.
Exactly, no maintenance.
This one hopefully must not die, because if that works,
it's going to be a game changer.
It's going to make a lot of things. The fact that the farther you are from a mountain market, in Lagos, for instance, the more you pay for food.
True.
And it makes no sense. Because if you have things like Mount is like the major thing, and Mount was organically put together.
It was structured.
It's so crazy. Like that market is, I don't know how Nigerians are alive. Sometimes you go to the market, you always there are even worse markets than that, because I traveled across.
Yes.
There needs to be a level of sanity that comes to the food systems in our cities, and Lagos is by far as bad as Lagos is by far better than
other
quite
places.
a number of states, except for some eastern states and maybe northern states where you see some level of what's the word now, hygiene in the markets and all that. But most markets that you go within Nigeria, there's no concern for the safety of that. People are buying, people are transacting. I mean, you
I mean, if you bring it closer to our streets, the suya joints, for example, nothing like hygiene.
Nothing, but the thing is so normalized in Nigeria that you can see that suya, you see the death around that suya,
and you still buy it, yeah.
And everybody's okay.
Yeah.
And it's the same. It's the same every time.
Our immune system is very strong.
Wow.
If you go to Nairobi and these other cities, you will see that these people care that what they put into their mouth is safe. In Nigeria, there's a level of normal,
Absurd.
Absurd, but people are, it's normalized.
Yeah.
And it's not good. So that kind of structure would bring a change to the system. And it really, really, really.
Is this just in Nigeria? Because I didn't see anything about other states trying to replicate this development. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm only
just
talking about
Lagos,
Lagos, the scope and the extent. And also, Niger State, Niger State is pulling on production. They are investing a lot in production. Yeah. I think it's the state that has the most harvesters and tractors and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Thinking about, mechanizing this. Because that's one of the big problems that we have as well. We keep talking about smallholder farmers, but smallholder farmers that we have, they need to be able to do more with the energy that they put in.
Yeah.
What you have is, and these farmers are even like foreigners that come to the country from Benin Republic and all. Yes.
Wow.
A lot of them are foreigners that come and they are promised an amount of money because they cheaper labor than locals, and they just they do quite good work.
Yeah.
But how many heaps of tubers of yam
can one person do in a day?
The world has moved.
The world has moved on. Yeah.
Still predominantly sustaining.
You see the role of AI in farming.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is quite ridiculous.
So that's why I said earlier, if the state is not invested,
nothing.
If the state is not invested, when you say invested, you are invested in the trenches. And you can imagine, I think I read one stats about the number of tractors you have to farmers. We are very, very minute. Very minute. We are not even close. So that's why when you compare us to the likes of Morocco, Egypt, when you see what these guys produce and export, you'll be amazed. Even Kenya, you'll be amazed because the major stakeholder is the government, is vested in all those things. They provide those things so that those farmers can scale up. So that you don't have to use all this manual labor that was it's sustenance farming. We are not thinking of scaling it up to the maximum that you can now create. You will see it will still boil down to that you are not having enough governments really involved, because when you have people that are not thinking about agriculture is a national security issue. And you must take a huge chunk of your budget and invest into such things, because what you are doing is you are preserving, you are doing longevity of your people that you're thinking about. You are thinking about the welfare of your people. Because when we begin to talk about welfare, people think welfare, they don't see that as welfare. Food is part of the welfare. Food should be one of the cheapest things that people have access to.
That is true. Since you're still speaking, Gbenga, you've been operating in the B2B space for a long time now.
Yeah.
What would you say really helps you close clients easier, or maybe even faster? What are some of the skills that you've seen repeatedly that you've deployed to help you close new clients?
I think it's first being genuinely interested in your client first, not what you are pushing to them.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think that's where it starts from. If you start with the mentality of just transactional, but you first need to understand what does even this client want, and how to even meet their immediate needs. Because at times you will have to customize what you are giving to each person. Each person's requirements, needs are different. Even though you are still going to be doing, you are still B2B business, but like you said something about, most of them see it as side also. Most of the people in the B2B business space started with side also. Started with, I need to pay my bills. For example, the affiliate program system that we did with Wakanow, we've trained over 20,000 people. We have about 6,000 of them actively trading, selling travel products, selling flight ticket, hotel, and some of them have been doing that for like 10 years. Some of them have now opened offices. They started aside also. Some of them, we went to a place, it's in Calabar, I can't even remember the states now. This woman runs a food business. She's an affiliate, sells tickets and all that. They get, because it's B2B, you get a different margin from other people. When now such has opened another office that you have people that are doing ticketing, attending to customers there, right on the back of that business that you've been doing for like 5 years. She makes a margin of 50K a year, 20K a year. In a day, maybe she has made a margin of about 400K, 300K. There are days it might not make anything. There are days you make a 1 million margin. When you aggregate it over time, so our client base increases. And what we do is you have to give them support. You have to give them 247 support. If you don't give your B2B business people 247 support that they can easily reach you through any channel they are comfortable with, most of them probably through WhatsApp. They're more comfortable reaching you through WhatsApp. So you have to create probably an omni-channel that WhatsApp. You have people there 247 reaching out to them. You have to invest in their training. Like she said, you have to invest in their training, capacity building. We were in Abuja because we do a lot of trainings for B2B, we do activations. We were in Abuja a while back. There was one old man there. When I came out to give, I was just talking to them how they can scale up their business. I was talking about, look, and a simple investment of 20, 30, between 20 and 50,000, opening a social media page, pay a digital marketer, let them manage that page. You put yourself out there, people see what you have. You can use your communities, design banners of the ticket pricing that you have, what you are selling. We came back another time, about 4-5 months after. The man said, maybe I said it, he went to do something like that. He started having calls from people from the US or some transactions. So if you are not, you have to be truly invested into people you call partners. You are going to make the money for whatever you are giving to them to sell. You're going to make the money, but you must be invested in their sustainability of their business. You must ensure that you create support for them that is 247, and you must make sure the people that are providing the support are seeing them as business partners. You have to see them as business partners. You don't have to see them as, okay, you have things to sell, they are giving to them, they are selling. You must see them as stakeholders. There are times we do forums, we do things like hangouts. We do hangouts for them in different cities. We just travel around, we pick cities, we mark, move from rivers, you can move from Port Harcourt to Asaba. We just keep moving. So you have things that make them feel like a community. They feel like a community, they feel like they're a stakeholder. They have a stake in this business. Those are some, in the B2B space, those are some of the things that founders have to look at doing. It will, whatever you spend, you're going to get much more back from them. Whatever you spend.
Omolara, you also play B2B somewhat, What can you speak to how it's been your experience closing new clients?
I'll just piggyback on what you said. Supporting them is really is a really big one. We have a community, arguably one of the most active e-commerce community that you find today, and we provide different kind of support, bringing in experts to train them on different aspects of their businesses, on sales, marketing, operations, registering their business, and also beyond that, we are also looking at providing financing for them. So as much as I said that, these businesses started small, we can also help them grow, right? And when they grow, they come back to the platform to do bigger transactions. So it's a win-win for both parties, So supporting them is something that we are really big on.
Fantastic. And again, what was it like crossing #1 billion in transactions? What
you saw our reaction on social
definitely.
on social media. So it was a big deal for us. It was a huge validation for us to know that this is, despite everything going on in the country, how bad things are, we were still able to pull this off. Imagine what next year is going to look like. It was a really big deal. Thank you.
Luther, when you came on the show, you said categorically that you love B2C. I want to know if that has changed in any way now.
Well, personally, we sell both B2B and B2C, but B2C is more, it's less stress for me.
More volume.
Wow. Slightly more volume. B2B will give you more volume, but the B2B would, they would haggle the last price. Like they want a 1%.
Your margin.
And apart from that, B2B struggle to pay you on time. And many restaurants will tell you 2 weeks. We had to like shut down that.
Oh wow.
We used to give credit, but when economy got really bad, we said people were not paying on time, some were not even paying at all. So we just crossed it. Like if you want it to pay, and we'll deliver to you. And right now we're seeing them adjusting. But for the most of the year, we weren't doing well with B2B. But which speaks to my point of B2C will pay you ahead of you delivering. Like, they pay before you. So it gives me more comfort to know that you are paying me ahead, even if I have to like redo your order. It's still better for me than somebody who has been paid.
At least as a cash flow.
So cash flow is, and this year has been if your business does not have a consistent cash flow this year, you wouldn't have survived.
True.
Wouldn't have survived it.
Very, very true.
So I still remain on that point. Like I prefer B2C, but the B2B that will pay me ahead, I definitely love that.
Amazing.
Sorry, can I add something?
Yeah, sure,
okay, so there's a startup that just launched. No, they didn't just launch, but they just raised money.
Okay.
So they basically help you pay those invoices that your B2B clients are not ready to pay. I don't know how it works, but that's basically what they do.
All sorts of solutions.
It hasn't worked.
Yeah, those guys to watch out. It's not as smooth. Like we've had people want to do buy now, pay later for all those things.
There's still defaults.
It's just not as smooth. Like you will still have one hot. You have a lot to deal with. Hard grain. So if a solution really comes up that can actually solve it, but we tried many, and it's not like it doesn't exactly work. And Nigeria is bad. It's not going to give credit in Nigeria. Like there's almost no. Well, you can get some credit profiles now, but even with the credit profiles, it's not sure.
True.
There's nothing you're going to do.
Yes.
You can go and fight. You can do everything. You waste money in the process. So just avoid it.
I think I've had some people actually start speaking about solutions like when they take products or loans and stuff like that. They're able to go to your account anytime money comes in.
They hold on to it.
Is that legal?
Is it not if money
is it not if there's money in the account that you remove?
But the user can just provide this account that they are not necessarily.
So that's the issue of like BVN. So
that's if all your accounts.
It's linked to where all your money is.
That's
one other thing that I can add to that. So we actually look like when we were looking at third party to solve So you have businesses when we want to provide the credit ourselves, they're open to no problem. We would But when you want a third party and you need their BVN, they won't.
They trust you. They don't trust those guys.
They are looking at if I owe this guy,
you can see on my bank account.
But if I owe these people now, they won't. So we didn't even see. We were even going to take the interest. Because there's an interest to pay on those loans. At that time was like 1% per week.
Okay.
Probably higher now. We were looking to take that as our own cost. So that you don't even pay anything extra. Just pay at the time you're supposed to pay. And businesses were still reluctant to do that.
Wow.
So it's just the economy of Nigeria and the nature by which people do
business.
Have their own cash flow at your own expense.
And not give you yours.
I can collaborate with at Wakanow. We had a corporate business where we give our credits 20 days, 30 days. Like you said, big companies still
default.
You have to chase, and someone will say the invoices are not correct, the statements are not correct. When it's correct, when are you paying? I'll come back to you. We're talking about hundreds of millions.
Wow.
We're talking about hundreds of millions. So really, it's not just the small businesses, even the big businesses also default on payments. And so that's why you have to find a way and ensure that you have to look at the risk. What part of that business? What's the risk on the business? Because, like you said, you've been intelligent in saying, look, B2C, B2B is high risk for me in this kind of business. But B2C pays. So because you have to look at the risk you are about to before you can say maybe you have a money bag, you have a bank, because at times people do discount invoicing with the bank. But the thing about discount invoicing, some of the banks will now tell you these are the profiles of the kind of company we can do this with. And you find out some of your clients might not fit into that profile. So maybe most of the people you even do business with might not fit into that profile. So the bank might not be able to do that. And now that we have a bit of a credit assessment going on now with credit bureau, if you default on loans, you can't go to another bank and collect loan. They will track, because once the first thing they check is your credit rating. And that's what we also started doing at Wakanow before I left. There are companies that provide that service. You have to you can check the credit rating of people. You will see the loans they've gotten, if they are performing or not. They will tell you the risk level, whether it's low or high. So you will know whether this company is a risk to you or not before you even say. So that there are companies that do check risk profile of companies. So they will tell you all the loans they've collected, if they are paying or not, before you can make a decision to say, okay, I want to offer credit. And you have to. It's still because really receivables are still like, how will I put it? Receivables still shows some level of, it's like an asset for you. Even if you have receivables, it's still an asset. So you have to find a way on how to fulfill them. Look at how to mitigate the risk, and look at categorize clients into which one can I offer credit. You have to do a background check, go to check their credit risk. Are they paying loans? So if they default, how do you ensure that you are able to recover the money? So at times, what people do is they increase the margins on people that know the margins they will make on them. So by the time you are getting your margins have covered up quite a whole lot. So there's a whole lot of juggling you have to do with the when you deal with B2B people. There are a lot of juggling you have to do.
All those activities of trying to get back the money, hiring a company, all those things are cost.
And that's what I'm saying. You must increase your margin of business. That's why with the B2B you can make a lot more money. So that's why those are the things the margins you now put on the way you charge them. Unlike a B2C people that will price your life like forever. They will pay.
In our case,
B2B
wants the lowest margin.
Okay, because they are resellers.
Yeah, they are resellers. They are looking at food, but they make more money. Like because restaurants will buy just a bunch of tomatoes and make one delicacy and sell it at a higher price.
But when you are looking at the risk of not paying immediately, your margins should be higher on them.
But they won't take it. They will say they can go there. So
we can go to the market ourselves.
I think it's just the Nigerian mindset. Terrible mindset.
Because you are better off. Quite a number of them have started coming back since we laid that down. We didn't move. We lost a lot of businesses that but I stood my ground that we're not going to do this. And we've seen quite a number of them starting to adjust because apart from the food, you also need a smart service. So
fantastic.
Nigeria is just a crazy.
It's a very difficult place to run a business.
You have to customize everything.
Exactly.
Datamellon, very quickly. So we are talking about making data accessible, right? Now, different solutions, both fintech, health tech products, they all collect data from their users. And there's this thing about data privacy and protection, where users expect that if I'm entering this particular product, I don't want them sharing my data with some third party. So with that being the case, how can these data be collected by maybe a central location or be accessible to people that need those data?
Yeah, so I think the first question is who wants to make use of that data? Who wants to utilize it? If it is the company that is collecting the data, right? I think once they let you know that okay, we're going to be using your data for so and so in the terms and condition, they can do whatever with it. But then if they don't want to share it with third party, one of the ways that you can mitigate that is the first thing is you remove any personal identifiable information, anything that can tie the information to any specific person like names, phone number, email, even address. Do you understand? So all of that information that I now have in that data, you can now gracefully make use of. And even before sharing your data with a third party, you can mask your data. So like you don't necessarily know what you are looking at. Like maybe this is what this is. Let's say if it is a name category, the column won't be name. It will just be some random data. Because at the end of the day, what you want to use the data for is for a machine. A machine does not understand the concept like name. It's just digits at the end of the day. So you can now then take it and then you can now use it. But the thing is, like, in Nigeria, they are very, very strict with data residency. Don't move it. Whether you are masking it, we don't. It's none of our business. Is it the
companies or is there a regulation?
There's a regulation. So they don't want that.
So I think it still ties back to what you said, Mr. Gbenga, about the government not wanting data to be available. Could that? Do you think that is linked?
We're just a clandestine. We're just a clandestine country. And if you see the way elections are and they announce results, you can't even reconcile.
Fact, yes.
So you are trying. They are telling you. So what's the name of that? Something rev. Rev, and you can't reconcile that with the physical. They said what is there is supposed to show what you're at the end of the day.
Yeah, you go back to paper.
So I think it's the startups, the fintechs, businesses that really pay attention to how you use data to really work, how you really aggregate. Government has not really been a good player in that space.
Well, I think they're starting, because to be honest, I've been like they are beginning to have that conversation.
There's no way forward without
No, yes, they are beginning to have that conversation, because last 2 weeks before I came for the mixer, earlier that day I had gone for this AOT that happened. Art of technology. It was focusing rather on artificial intelligence primarily. Yeah. So there were different panel sessions, but I was surprised to find that none of them actively discussed the primary problem we have in Nigeria, which is collection of data, storage, and availability. They're talking about so many other things that doesn't make sense to the typical Nigerian. Yeah. Just because they want to talk about AI. I was mad by the time I was leaving that place. The fundamentals, what people are discussing, what it will be built on, there was no discussion around that. And that's why I'm opposing what you're saying, that the government is beginning to have that discussion. That particular event was set up by the Lagos government.
Well, so the question you begin to ask yourself is, check the competency of the people that are there speaking. What do they know about data?
Exactly.
What do they know about tech? What do they know about AI? People just prepare speeches and come and talk. So what are the track record of the people that are even championing these things? Yeah. Somebody is talking about the future of AI in 75 years old. Planning for maybe we'll exit in the next 5-10 years, and is planning for a country that 70% of the population are between 18 and 35. So those are some of the questions you begin to ask. Yeah. Who are you planning for? Yeah. So what innovative ideas does somebody like that have that will scale up things for that generation or make their lives better? So, you mentioned something about competence on people in leadership and all that. That's part of the problem. So do we have a system that even recruits the best to get into government? Do you have a system that you say, okay, you have a system that says the best gets into power, the best gets into government, the best get into public sector? A lot of people went into public sector like they didn't have anything to do. Exactly. They were going along. It's the most safest place to work so that they can still do their own side also. So when you begin to check the quality of people in public sector as well, like you said, you've created these storage things that they've created. What's the quality of people they're going to manage that? Someone who is out. Is it a systemic thing they created? Did you create an organic thing, a systemic thing that will ensure that thing is sustained and even scaled up? So that's why most times governments need to start looking at private sector participation for some of those things, so that there is sustainability. Because the moment one government goes, another government comes with another agenda. And that's why things fail, because people are always thinking about, once they enter now, they're thinking about the next 4 years. They're not thinking about legacies that they will build to impact the people. So it's still the failure of understanding what governance is all about. It's about the people at the end of the day. So if everything is not people focused, we are talking about AI now, and government is not even understanding the impacts that has. You can imagine the impact we have on the judicial system, in the medical world, the impact these things have, even in construction. Construction, and because I was supposed to give a talk one time about the impact of AI, construction workers, and all that, the risk. I didn't even end up making it, but they are building roads now in China. When they are constructing roads, I was speaking with somebody that is from, the Chinese even built for the Indians. They built for the Indians roads. The Japanese built for the Indians. And the guy was saying 150-kilometer road, those guys can actually build it in a week. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yes.
So let me tell you what they do. They've been able to design a program that they structured in such a way that for every 1 kilometer of road, there is a team that builds that. For every 1 kilometer of road, there's a team. They have their resources, everything. They just bring in things. For every 1 kilometer, you have a team with their dedicated resource.
Wow.
it's not as if okay, we'll close this one today.
We're
now opening to close this one.
Yeah, the expressway 7 years now.
7 months since I was a child. Since I was a child, I really don't.
You can imagine how a society builds roads. For every 1 kilometer, they have a team with all their resources to fix that 1 kilometer. And they will also the resources that they will bring in that they've done from outside. That's why they can build an rise of 150-story building in 10 days.
10 days.
Prefabricated.
Yeah, that's the power of AI too.
Wow.
That's the power of AI. So we see that. Look at all the constructions going on.
Yeah.
Do you see the impact of AI in it?
You know, still on this AI discussion, please tell us about how that solution you built for the Nigerian judiciary works.
Yeah. So I wanted to mention it. Like if let's say we haven't gotten there yet, but at least we know knock on the door and they're able to give us audience. Okay, we have something really cool that you guys should look at. Let's hear it. And I can remember very well when we had this meeting in their chamber, and it was quite interesting, right? Because when we were telling them, okay, this is what we have, this is what we can do, you know, there was someone there. I've never dealt with like a judge or but it was very. What's the difference between this one and ChatGPT? And we're trying to make him know the difference that your data is the differentiation. There are questions that you can ask about your judicial system that are not readily available in public space. It will be able to answer it for you. I was like, but then you just said a lot of things, and you know we concluded that okay, let's just demonstrate it for you. We were able to ask a question, and it was able to answer. In fact, I think we just told them to be the judge, as they are, the judge of what the solution is going to give, and they give the result, and they're like, wow, this is really interesting, and you know they wanted to see more of it, but they're like, okay, maybe I'm not going to do it on a large scale. They're just going to do it for a particular part of the whole judicial system because there are different parts, and that's where we are. But then it's a government thing. It will take a lot of time.
Exactly.
Before
I had spoken to I cannot remember his name now. Your colleague that was also at that event, and we're discussing what adoption is going to look like. Right, because I was going to the court for like 3 weeks back. Every day I was going to.
You one agency
like
that's been able to fix that in Nigeria.
Yeah.
In 2015, is it 2014, 2015? There's a project called Aviation Revenue Automation Project called ARAP. This guy that is Chidoka, this Chidoka that used to be road safety guy, Ed Osita Chidoka. He was aviation minister then. So the goal was you have about 5 aviation agencies. There is an incudes, National Civil Authority, where you train people to be engineers and pilots. Then you have AIB, Investigation Bureau. You have Civil Aviation Authority. You have FAN, Federal Airport Authority. Then you have NAMA, National that's aerospace agency as well. So the same thing he's talking about, that's what they do. When all the airlines, aviation service providers want to provide, you have to serve from one table to another, paying invoices. There was a lot of government revenue that you cannot even account for. They're talking about payments. Airlines are making payment in dollars. Fuel suppliers, everybody that is within that space, navigation charges when plane flies, navigation charges. Not government does not see all the revenue. So people taking a whole lot of stuff. So they now said we needed to automate. So there's a company I went to work for with them, Venture Garden. They have a subsidiary called Avitech that they had to get a lot of subject matter experts, like people like us, that work on that project. When we were doing stakeholders engagement, people were fighting, scattering everything. They didn't want it to work, but because the minister pushed for it, and the guy stood, sound guy, stayed on it. Today, most of all the things were automated in real time. In real time now, you can see what all those agencies are paying. Before, airlines will make payments because for every passenger the airline carries, there's a surcharge that's supposed to be remitted to government. They don't see it before. But when the airline close flights, the company can pull the data. You can see everything. There's something called AV Collect. All those toll fees, toll gate fares. It was not automated before. The collection. There were people who make their receipts and just fuel marketers that fuel aircraft. There are charges government is supposed to make from that. So everything was completely automated, and they had over 40 revenue lines. All those agencies, over 50 revenue lines that they have, over 50. All those agencies put together. So how many files? They had to automate everything, and that project is still being why it worked because private sector participation. So the private sector is the one that designed the framework, and that was tech driven. And in real time, now if you enter the office in real time, you can know how many passengers that were carried today by all the airlines. You can know what government is expecting. You can understand. They even do it in such a way that you can track every flight that goes through the airspace, so that you know the navigational charges that is supposed to come to NAMA, and at least a large percentage of what people are carrying paper, they're supposed to pay dollar. And you know, some transaction airlines are supposed to pay dollar. The guy at the desk will negotiate what rates for you to pay.
That's interesting.
He will negotiate the rate, and if you don't pay, your flight is not going. He will negotiate the rate and get his own from it. But now everything goes through technology, filing, filling. So it's possible, and it depends on the person that sits on that business or that sector or that agency that understand the impact it has. But if you have people that don't even understand the impact, like somebody say, let's just do pass, not do all. You can imagine if that works, how judiciary, the transparency of things, the access to data, and how things get to run faster. People want to file cases, and they want to there are a lot of things you want to do in the courts. You want to do affidavits, you want to do this. Everything you pay for it, automated. You're not, because even some of those guys that you see at the desk, they have people that work for them outside, like agents.
Yeah, exactly.
Those one will be the one carrying the file. They will see you on the road. What do you want to do? Want to do this? Yes, now they have people that work on their behalf because they have a deliverable every day, a target they must fulfill. So it's possible.
It's crazy.
Before we move on to another set of questions, please, if you are connecting live and you have questions, kindly drop in the chat box, and we're going to get to them when we get them. Luther, leadership plays a big role in the success of any business. And I understand that managing employees, managing people is probably the biggest, hardest part of running a business. What will you say has worked for you so far in terms of ensuring that you can maximize everybody that works at PricePally to achieve the company's goals?
Interesting question, but to be honest, I really don't have an answer. I can just say that I've been lucky to hire some really good people that kind of like make a huge difference when they handle their responsibilities. I don't have to worry. And there's some that I know that I have to worry.
A bit.
I have to follow up. I have to ask somebody overseeing this person and all that. So it's quite complex. Right now we have like 180 something people.
Wow.
And it's really So I think the structure, we need to put in more structure to absorb people to come up so that we can have a better way than what we had so far.
Okay.
Because this thing that's talking about now, I was still thinking about it this morning.
Hmm.
So, to be honest, I attend the interviews when we are hiring.
Yeah.
And I just pray and I hope that this person has chosen the
Yes.
best
You have to pray.
But the Nigerians are very smart.
Yes.
Nigerians are very smart. They can tell you.
They will do
everything
fantastically well on that interview.
But when
Yeah.
they get to the job, you start to see that, look, did I make a mistake? This person sounded loud.
Yeah.
So that happened. So we've had to hire, you know, this kind
Yes,
of thing.
yes.
It's continuous. And I must say, it's like there's a drop in the level of people out there today, even though the economy is hard and all.
Yeah.
People's
Quality,
the employable
quality
Yes.
of
people.
people,
Hmm.
yeah, you have a lot of you know, and I think ChatGPT helps a lot now. Everybody has smart sounding
CVs, yes.
So until you now take a bunch of
Yeah.
people to interview, you now go through that process, find somebody, and you think it's the right person, and at the end of the day, still mess you up. But it's a continuous process.
True.
I wouldn't say I've hacked it.
Yeah.
But there are a couple of things I look out for. Yeah. There are some things that probably might not like to hear.
Okay.
Like, yeah, you know, I have a preference. I didn't go to Covenant University.
Okay.
But from Covenant University and IFE,
Yeah.
I found out that those people that work for us that went through that
Yeah.
school,
Their
there's
sound.
always been something. Yeah.
Wow.
There's always something about them that makes it a lot
Okay.
easier. I partly went to IFE, but I finished in the lab.
Yeah.
I'm not saying we also have other schools,
Yeah.
but that indicator that I've seen over time is one thing for me. So if you come for Covenant University, I'll probably check your CV
Yes.
twice.
Twice. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not like everyone that comes to yeah, but it's like, so I don't have like a hack for it, but you make sure that we prepare all the stages of the interview, the best questions we can ask, trying to find out the person's character and the experience of the job, or you know, what they can bring in, and just hope because
Just hope.
I don't know. Some people have hacked it, and I'd like to hear what you do.
I mean, I've seen, but there are not companies here, except maybe I've not really looked into companies here in Nigeria. But I've seen companies in like Canada and France where their recruitment process can go for as long as a week, and each day the candidate spends like 2 hours being drilled. So they make sure that you know your stuff before you come into the company. And those are obviously businesses that can afford to do that because hiring is expensive. There where they use like recruitment firms and all to power stuff like that actually know how to spot great candidates. But I find that here we try to do it ourselves manually. Just say, okay, head of this department, if we need someone there, any CV that comes in, look through and just run the interview. And that's why we find ourselves keep falling into this problem, because we don't want to pay for services or for institute or for firms that this is their actual work and they can spot great candidates.
I would argue that because I've tried that too.
Really?
Yeah. For most of it, you know, especially around tech and all,
yeah,
we go through people and I don't know, maybe those companies kind of need to improve, you know, but it's not a guarantee.
Yeah.
That this person are going to get and all that. But maybe the processes, you know, have to be a lot firmer. And like you said, I'm thinking about that 1 week.
Yes.
It's like bringing the person in and giving them what
like the first stage is an aptitude test, not necessarily even questions like the way we see in exams. Set of patterns. They will ask you to spot what is exactly how you can reason on the spot. And it seems simplistic, but what that does is it cuts down the number of applicants to the best that can think on their feet very quickly, which very oftentimes is important, on the job. So implementations like that, I think, would probably help.
Yeah. So I'll agree with you both. I'll give a perspective.
Yeah.
Interviews most times is very easy to miss at times for people that schooled and trained themselves in the art of deception. Deception. So like what you mentioned is one of the ways that you can actually catch people. Questions that are outside, because at times when I do interviews for people, I ask them questions outside even what I'm trying to employ them for, because I'm trying to understand your attitude, your lifestyle. And for example, I'll pay more attention to somebody that I know does a lot of things around fitness, has a culture, a good lifestyle, balances, people that can, great team players that network well. So aside from the job, okay, I still want to understand that, because if you're coming to a place where you deal with a team, team play, at times I might even want to understand your family background. So there are a whole lot of questions that people don't ask at interviews. I want to understand about your family background. I can even go, because at one point when I was one of the biggest OTAs in Nigeria today, years ago, that was 2010, was talking to me about becoming a major partner in the business. That was a question the guy was asking about. How was your mom? What does she do? So no, that's where you got your entrepreneurial drive for, and it's true. So interviews at times we have to ensure that it goes outside of the normal ecosystem that you're looking at, the CVs, and you're asking questions, you are ticking all the dots. It's beyond, because when you bring people into your space, there's a cultural thing. You have the kind of mindset that they are coming with. Is this person a team player? Because on one of my teams, they were saying somebody should become a team lead. I was leading a team, but because management feels they like this person, the person should be a team. I said, no, this person can't be a team. Say, why? I recommended somebody, say, why? I said, look, for you to be a team lead, I have different stakeholders my team deals with. Aside from you manage their salespeople, they have portfolios they manage. Aside from that, they work with legal, because you have to develop a travel service agreement. They work with operations that has to service the customers. Different arms of operations that they work with. They work with the drivers. They work with the visa desk. They work with different people. And I've seen this person's attitude dealing with all these stakeholders. Always talks down everybody in operations, aggressive, fights even the head of legal that is structural wise, is a senior to you. Interpersonal skills, but this person is very good. She meets her target. She runs only after her target. She's only concerned about her target. She doesn't care about the whole team. But one time I have to tell her, look, if you meet your target, we all don't meet our target. All of us are failed. Because the target is not your target. The target is our target. So if yours is like 500 million and the total target is 5 billion, and we are short by 1 billion, we've all failed together. So I said, that's the way you start thinking of your team. I said, this person does not think of our team in that perspective. This person does not have a collaborative nature. He's not somebody the team can count on, because he's always looking after. So I told the people in mind, so how do you make that kind of person a team lead? How? So when I do interviews, those are some of the things I check. I was doing interview for someone, they gave me the CV that is in sales. I said, I started asking questions. So how many accounts have you personally in the past 3 years onboarded? How many do you have in your portfolio? The person started stuttering. I said, I've got this one. Because if you're a salesperson, you have to have your portfolio of accounts. So how did you get those accounts? How did you onboard those accounts? Those are one of the questions I will ask you. I won't be asking you a question about your competency. I just want to know some basic things that. So when you do interview, that's some of the ways you find out who really people are, and what value they can bring on board. And also, I think another mistake that companies make is that they don't give enough time for onboarding. You just throw them into the job. That's one of the mistakes. This person needs to start tomorrow. The question I ask is the onboarding. When I joined Vegi Nigeria years ago, my onboarding was like 2 or 3 months. I was moving from telecoms. I was moving from telecoms into aviation, airline. Virgin Atlantic was a major stakeholder. So Virgin Atlantic was practically controlling the management training. That was 2005. I was coming from telecoms. I moved into another space. I don't have background, but we have to first write and do an exam. They gave us, there's a document, it's this big. You have to learn all the alphanumeric, flights, geography also. We first did a stage of interview that was geography. We scaled through. Those that were employed, they gave us, after they gave you a confirmation letter, you have been employed. You will now have to go do this exam. This exam, you have to study everything for 9 days, about 7 days. So you can carry the book into the exam, the manual. So you write the test, you must score 80%. If you score anything lower, you're going to do a receipt. You do receipt, you fail, they will pay you off for that period. You are gone. And most of us have resigned from where we are
nothing
coming from. So before the airline started operation, the airline is going to start operation in 3 months.
Yeah.
Our onboarding now started training, call center training, soft skills. And so I think the problem is in this part of our world, our onboarding, training, and empowerment to actually know whether people are suited for the role is very short. And that's why most times when they come in and we're like, hey, but I thought they said this person this person has 2-1 now. So that's what they have mastered in that part of the world.
Yes.
Aside from the recruiting, the way they bring you in, the onboarding. It's in the process of onboarding they even find out that some people don't even have skill sets suited for that. They find something else that they can do. Because you're brought in this person as a salesperson, you know, this person is more operational. In the process of onboarding, moving from one department to another to understand stuff, people start giving feedback. I think this person should be able to do this, should be able to do that. So I think it's a system that we all have to start looking at when we want to recruit people, how we onboard them, and to find out where actually they are suited for. Yeah, fit.
I think that reminds me of a company, Bizop, that came on my podcast a few months back. So what Bizop does is they help businesses document their processes. So if you have a software developer, for example, and this person can leave at any time, we found there are cases where a new dev comes into a team and the previous codes, he can't make sense of them because the person that wrote them did not structure them properly. So Bizop helps in cases like that, where they structure everything, not just development, also in operations as well. Like sales triggers. What do you say to a potential client at different stages of the funnel? Everything is outlined so that when you get a new employee intake, you walk them through that onboarding process. Is seamless, automatic, so you don't have to be holding them by their hand. Exactly. And then that works. So Bizop, shout out to Bizop.
Very interesting, because
exactly.
The thing is, even now, it's one of, if not the first, let's say like the second, third use cases for most business. You know, you want to be able to have a chatbot or an assistant that can help you onboard your new intakes. Any questions they have about the company, or what they need to know, it will structure it. Okay, welcome to this company. These are what you need to know. It will be giving you all those information like you're interacting with a person. So like you're not necessarily working with HR and HR is telling you all of those stuff. And anytime you want to do something about your work, your task, you can ask it and it will give you what you need to do step by step.
But why are companies not invested in such?
So yeah, like I said, it's like one of the top use cases and people are already implementing it.
That's a good one to implement.
Honestly,
because when you have big players leave a company, it leaves a big gap.
Exactly. So, but the most important part is that as long as you can maintain your documentation, you don't have problem. Because if there's no documentation, you don't have anything.
Still data issue.
See data issue. Exactly.
Comes back to that collective
exactly. See data issue.
Well, I mean, the use case we've seen for chatbots really is on usually on customer support side, not necessarily operations and onboarding.
Yeah,
so it's interesting to see that is also an application.
It is. I've seen quite a few that have discussed it with me that are looking at it. You want to do what can we do for other? When I tell them like that, they're like, okay, no problem. And you know, it's just been in the pipeline. But once people are interested.
So you had spoken about how every business can make use of artificial intelligence, right? How can founders get to that point of awareness to say maybe this could be automated? Because yes, the opportunity might be open to them, but they might not be seeing it. Not everyone thinks so deeply as other founders do. So is there a way for them to be enlightened on the possibilities of AI being incorporated into their businesses? Or do you think like discussions like this are the only way to go about that?
Well, to be honest, I think if I don't even know for any other place, for Nigeria, I think founders would naturally want to start thinking about it, and because it costs.
Right.
you would think of it.
So if there's anything that you can think of that is like an operation in your company that can be automated, you want to, because most of the discovery call that we have with customers, they are like, okay, this is what we do, right? What can we automate? Right? What can we do with AI, or how do we implement AI? But there are others that come that already have something in mind. That, okay, we want to do this, we want to automate this part, we want to automate onboarding, we want to automate user sign up, like your validations and all of those things. You don't want to have someone have to check if your NIN ID card corresponds to some. No, all of those can be automated. So once you know that I want to take away this tax, I want to automate it, then you can now have that discussion. We will not be the one to tell you, okay, it's possible, this is what to take, and if it's not possible, we just say, okay, we've not gotten there yet. So you cannot say, okay, you want an AI that will go to your customer's house and go and count down.
Interesting. Let's talk about financing and fundraising for a bit here. It's unfortunate because Irene, who was supposed to be here, but because of traffic, I heard the president is around. I don't know how true. There's been traffic since morning. Okay. She was particularly interested in this aspect of fundraising because we've seen so much in the Nigerian ecosystem, Africa as a whole, where local investors were not. I'm using where now because that has sort of like changed in the last maybe few months in this year. They were not very active in terms of leading rounds. So you even see firms that say we lead rounds, but then when you approach them and you check all the boxes, they'll ask you, have you collected any money from anybody first? Before they decide to join the round. But you say you lead rounds. And you're waiting for people that have raised or the investors that have committed before you get into
like
that.
They are all waiting for somebody to
exactly to first. And is quite unfortunate because what I found is a lot of these foreign investors, most times, they don't understand why a problem is important to the Nigerian market. Because they are coming from two different worlds. You try to explain it, but they literally cannot make sense of what you're saying because it doesn't exist where they are coming from.
The systems are different.
Yes, very different. And it's difficult for them to commit capital to a problem or to a solution they don't understand. That's where local investors are supposed to bridge that gap. So I want to start with Gbenga.
I remember years back we opened a company called Skybridge Aviation, and our goal was airline management, to take the pressure off airlines, because what airlines do basically in Nigeria, they bring in their planes, they have to set up staff, everything is a huge cost to them, because as you see, tickets, expensive tickets are. The margins they make on average tickets about $4.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So everybody says, these airline people, they want to kill us. 50% of the running cost is fuel.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So when you begin to break down, and their business is predominantly dictated by dollars. Dollars impacts the spares. Insurance is not even done in Nigeria. Insurance for the airplane is done abroad. No insurance company in Nigeria can insure a plane. You don't have the capacity to. When you buy an engine of a Boeing for me, $5 million, one engine. So when we set up the company, we got people that were called investors. Investors, put money down now. You have to be chasing investors. Somebody that was supposed to drop as at 2011, 2012 was supposed to drop. Someone was supposed to drop 20, another was about 20 million, 10 million a year. So because you already had projects, airlines you wanted to service. Because what we do is that all the sales, marketing, operational for the airline, we take up that responsibility. All the airline does is bring their plane into the country. So you're talking about staffing for operations, talking about media, marketing, every other thing. We take responsibility. Sales and marketing, we take responsibility of that. So, and when you don't have funding, there is so people actually allocated shares, put that money. This one will say, okay, as this one put down, that much that one put down. And the typical about local investors is they have this, and they also have the quick returns mentality. They don't think long term. Very true. I remember when we had an arrangement with Namibia, then they said they would give us their aircraft. to be able to run the flights between here and Windhoek. And we have also opportunities, Joburg and all that.
Yeah.
And they said we should bring about $2 million then. That was in 2013 or 12. $2 million bill bond or whatever. That they will provide the aircraft. We did all the business cases, 5-year, 10-year plan with our experience. We started talking about private equity companies, investment companies. They saw everything. They couldn't fault most of the things we did. And I remember one time one of them followed us to the car park because of the car that we brought. Put funding down. They told one of our partners, look at the kind of car you came with. And we met the chairman of First Bank then, give us access to First Bank. We went there to pitch. They brought about a team of about 20 people to check everything, ask questions. I was always the one talking, pitching all the numbers because they are wondering how does this one understand number. Then I didn't have an MBA. All those things just come natural for me. I'm just starting my MBA next year, because I've always seen all these MBA people. I learned a lot of things for myself. 5 days courses, 3 days course. Most of the things I've learned in my life, I learned it by doing short courses and online. Spend all my time online. So we went to the bank. We pitched $2 million. The ED that was in charge of the side the money was supposed to come from. Next thing he said was that, okay, I don't think we can give you everything. We'll give you 20%.
What?
I'll give you 20% of everything that you need. And I said, if I have 80%, you think I'll sit down with you? That was my response to him. I just responded to him straight. Old man, I don't give a damn who you are. I said, if I have 80%, you'll be chasing me. Because you will not want me to spend the whole of that 80% on this business that you guys don't even understand. So we at one point we pushed. Had to leverage on Zenith at that time. We got some bank guarantee, about $20,000 or something. You have to put down. You have to be chasing investors. Okay, investors put down money for running operations. Zenith gave us some funding that time. We were struggling to run operations on behalf of the airline, and you are wondering when people say you have investors in Nigeria or banks are investors, they are not. They're just merchants. Most of the investments people get come from abroad. And those guys give you 5 years, 10 years. But one of the things that have happened is some of the people in the tech world have taken funds that they've mismanaged.
True.
And because a whole lot of them are not financially literate, and a whole lot of them think those funds was for you to live luxury life. Live luxury life, spend when you are not earning enough. They're not making enough, you want to be spending. That's when he wants to buy a flashy car. I remember when I was doing it then, it was a lot of sacrifice for me. A lot of sacrifice. Because I was not even thinking about, I was thinking about big ideas, companies were partnering. I was not thinking about luxury or anything. Twice, we had to pack up business twice and terminated contracts because the investors were not putting money down. This one was asking, how much are this one drop? What has done? Look, if this thing, at one point, one of them used our pitch to go talk to an airline.
Wow.
Used our pitch that we built. So at the end of the day, when those ones came they thought it was us. When they came for the meeting, they didn't call us for the meeting. He was there with his own team and they used our pitch to have discussion. So investments for startups in Nigeria, I think there are very few of them here that will actually invest because they think short term. They think short term, they don't think long term. Because when you think short term, they put you under a lot of pressure. And you have all these foreign people that come and they're able to give you. I remember my brother is also into IT, but he lives in the US. There was one time he came to his company is called Jamboree. They fund small businesses. Well, at one point we were on the road show together trying to get investors in Nigeria. All of them would do mouths, they will sign term sheets, they will sign, put money down. Now became an issue. The guy was like, and this guy has worked for Fortune 500 companies in the US.
Believe what he was
and he was saying, the guy, he came with his money to Nigeria and set up stuff. He was spending his money. After 2-3 years, this guy packed everything. I'm not coming back. Because he could not understand that people that you think have the investors mentality. They don't. Most of the people you have around are not actually investors. And that's why if you see interest rates go as high up as 35%. So if I borrow as a startup, I borrow at 35%. It means for me to be profitable and survive, I must be making returns of 70% at least. Because you're going to pay 35% at 35% back, which means, okay, my margin, I must have at least additional margin of 35% again.
And you know what is crazy is the fact that, like you said, rightly said, most of the investments that come into Nigerians, African startups, really, they're outside of Africa.
They're outside of Africa.
And then you're supposed to returns to them
in dollars.
So in Nigeria, for example, where the interest rate is just ridiculous, we find businesses.
No, forget about interest rates. I can tell you from my present company, we got investment about $50 million.
Yeah.
And you have to pay back. It's an equity investment company. After 5 years, you have to pay back. When you got that, maybe a dollar was 200 and something. Dollar is 175.
How do you make sense of it?
So, if you are not a strong, if the company was a strong person, that company will be dead by today. So how are you going to pay back those investors when you got maybe 200 and something naira to $1? So it's the same thing that happens for startups as well, because we get such funding. You are living in the naira market. Currency has been devaluated by over 83%, 85%. How are you going to pay back?
Exactly.
Except you are given a leeway of 5-10 years to pay back. So that's the only way you can survive. But if it's Nigerian investors, in 6 months they're asking you what is happening after. In fact, they want to see your cash flow.
Yeah. Luther, you've raised before. What was that experience like, and what has the experience been like with your investors between then and now?
Well, just to add to the comments before, so I think we've come, although, like there are complaints and all that, but we've come a long way. There was a time there was no action at all. There are people, there are local companies that put money into other business. There was a time that we wasn't that. Like, and it was a few years ago, like 5-6 years ago, was the era of paystack and stuff that we started seeing when we're company talking, and we've actually come up a long way. So it's good that is, although there's still, quite many things. There's a very nascent market, very young. So, but in my experience, our first raise was the pre-seed, which was, I think, in 2021. 2021 or 2022, and it took us about probably 2-3 months. It was quite quick. Then we did our seed round 2023. And that took a while. It took a bit longer than. So right now we are looking to raise our A round, next year. But it's has been. It's tougher now.
Yeah, definitely.
For so many reasons. The economy of the country, the
mismanagement, from other founders,
they
go very far.
It's quite tough, but you have to understand that you are not building a business, but it's not a funding business. So get business to work on its own and use money to accelerate. That's what.
So don't build for VC, basically.
So that's what the money is for. It's to accelerate whatever you have. So that's like the first mission for us. That's what we try to get to. And the next race is to help us put more fuel in the fire to get us next. It's not been easy and all that. Especially given this. I mean, when we raised at that time, our seed round was Naira was at 400 and something. In fact, our revenue as at then, we've grown in Naira. We've grown tremendously in Naira, over 100x of what we did that time. But
if you convert it,
to
dollars,
and because you are converting and your pitch deck is in dollars, what you are pitching to other investors. So they will be like, in 5 years, this is how you've not grown.
Because our audited account for 2023 was unit number of millions of dollars. But
in Naira, you are performing.
When I put that back, we've done less than
that is quite frustrating.
So those are like the major things there. But we're going to weather this storm. Nigeria is going, things will still turn around. I think the main thing is for you to still stay in business. Still be alive.
Be alive,
Just
be alive.
Be alive. So that when the good times come, you can still. But it's crazy. Definitely not that easy.
I still want to speak about your experience fundraising. Many a times, in fact, the standard is that for you to even raise 90% of the time is from someone giving you a warm intro. So you must know someone that knows someone.
Yeah.
It's not even necessarily how good your product is doing. A lot of investors rely on that warm intro to even look at pitch decks.
Validation.
Yeah. So, I mean, I feel like that makes sense. It's sort of like them bulletproofing themselves in a way. Because when recommendations come from trusted sources, maybe founders that have exited before, they can jump on deals like that because they know that this person knows the stuff. And if he's recommending this other founder, it means that person is also good. But then I feel like while that favors, might not necessarily even favor them. Yes, exactly. They pass out on this and recall that they have to return money back to their LPs.
Yeah.
Now there are marketplaces, like I was speaking with a founder maybe a month ago. They are building what they call Umbrella. So it's kind of like a marketplace that brings together investors and founders that are raising. Similar to what PitchBook is doing, only that they are coming in at a much affordable distance, especially for the Nigerian markets. Because PitchBook, for example, for you to access their database, you spend minimum of like $20,000. So these guys are coming from like 100 around that, so that more founders can access them. Do you think solutions like that will work?
$20,000 for access them.
Yeah. No. I mean these new ones, Umbrella.
Okay.
Yeah, it's way cheaper, but the thing is, will investors be happy to jump on stuff like that?
So I mean, like we all know that most of the investors that are funding here are foreigners.
Yeah.
It's other people's money they're also funding with.
Yeah.
So that warm intro part kind of comes in automatically.
Yeah.
Like they don't know much here. They want to learn, they want to, and whatever they feel comfortable, it's money.
Yeah. It's money. You can't play with people's money. True.
There's an attitude already.
Yeah.
When you know
Yes.
for that. So my advice would be to this entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Figure out a way to get the warm intro or get on a stage where they hear you out.
Yeah.
But it's not like 90. I mean, I have an investor that was a cold call. Yeah, so it works, but it's just that the probability of it working is very, very, very low.
Yeah.
So it's better off to, and you can. I mean, I think it also helps you in part of the journey because, for instance, I'm a very introverted person. I do want to go out.
Yeah.
But because I have to raise.
Yeah. You have to go out.
Friends,
Yes.
Yeah, I have to make friends to get you to, and apart from the getting to raise that, it builds a network. So there are founders now that are friends with and are very connected to very many people. I look at their link, they're like, how did you know this guy? So I think it's also part of the entrepreneurial journey. Apart from the VC, whatever, you have to stick your neck out there. You have to figure out a way. That's what we do every time. Just find it. If you know that this is what is working, find a way to get it to work.
Yes.
It could be tough and hard and but it is what it is. Especially because it's not our money.
Yeah, exactly.
If it was local money,
yes,
it would be easier.
Yeah.
People would go. I mean, you know one brother that knows God,
exactly.
The foreigner that's coming in and all. You can't blame them.
You can't. No, you really can't break them.
Exchange rate.
Yeah. And other individual, like high net worth individuals in Nigeria.
They don't understand.
Yes, they don't understand the startup system at all.
It's
high for them. Yes. So I was speaking with Anil Atman. He's currently at, I cannot remember the VC firm he's at now. So we had a physical meeting, just a chat one of the days, and he was telling me about a friend who is a wealthy man, and a startup had approached that man trying to raise. Now the man doesn't understand equity distribution and all of those things. So they tried to explain the business to him, and the man is like, if I give you this money, 90% of the business is mine. What is that? Yeah, they don't know. And I feel like it is a huge problem here in Nigeria because there's money. There are people that have money, but they don't understand where to channel and how to.
We don't have that culture.
Yeah.
The thing is about the culture. I remember an OTA, somebody that was trying to launch an OTA. The foreigner came here and he was pitching. I helped him some of the pitch board and all that. Yeah. And he wanted to pitch to a billionaire. And he said somebody is a billionaire, massive. And he was pitching to the guy for equity of 49%.
Wow. And
the guy said he will give him, is it $100,000 or $200,000? And the guy said, okay, I'll give you an office inside one of my complex and all that. I said, you are dead. I said, he's going to give you money. He will still give you office space. You're already excited. And he wants to take 49%. And now, I just did a financial forecast for him for 12 to 24 months. What's that money will do? I said, after 6 months, that your money is gone. So you will now come back to him again. You want to raise money. You will raise money and ask for more equity. And when you ask for more equity, you are done and dusted. And the part is, the man didn't even understand tech. All the people that surround the man, be careful, tech. All these people that do technology. How is it going to work? You know, was even talking about, okay, maybe I will put the daughter on the board. You know, they don't understand. The guy didn't because of all those things. I said he didn't collect the money at the end of the day.
Yeah, you shouldn't.
But the thing is, when you sit down with the people that you think are billionaires, when you talk about tech, startup, and all these things, they don't understand how startup works, because most of them were in businesses where they had government sympathy and leverage. Some of them started from oil and gas, commodity trading. You know, retail. They started from things traditional that money spin. They are not things that are brain powered. They are powered by tech that you have to use ecosystem of your network, your brain power, technology to build. They don't even understand that. For the next 6 months, I want to generate as much revenue. I have to invest a lot in marketing. I have to invest in ops. I say, invest in ops. So it's not a culture. We don't have that culture. We don't have culture of investors. The people that will say are really big men. They are not. They are big men. They have money, but they don't understand that ecosystem, how it works, how people put funds into. And the only time you get them to commit is when they see those foreigners put money in. Like when the likes of Airtel started in those days, when this guy from, I forgot what company he came from, that started Airtel, was because people put money down. A lot of them now started putting money. So that's when you see a whole lot of them put money down. When they see that somebody is sticking his neck out, everybody rushes. And the only way founders, startups can do that is to just show a track record of results, like you said. Show a track record of results, and don't see the money to accelerate your growth. And
the thesis of the VC, they say they invest in 10, they expect 9 to die.
Exactly, and want to return the fund.
In Nigeria,
can't do that, You can't. No, it doesn't make sense to invest 9 out of 10.
And it's not even expecting returns in the next 5 years.
Yes.
And then investor will call you after 6 months. Guy,
what is happening?
What is happening now?
How far?
They give you money to burn. That means
exactly. Yes.
You
can't utter something.
You are
like
burning
that.
cash.
Cannot even utter it.
So take time. And it's probably going to be entrepreneurs like us that have gone through this that will be able to do that. Even in developed countries.
Exactly.
That's what eventually when founders
exited.
They started making it easier for that kind of money because they understood what the process is.
Started changing the culture.
That's how it will happen as
well. And then also our banks don't even understand.
No, banks are out of it.
They are just out of it.
Yeah, they're out of it completely.
Don't even understand.
I think we have to wind down now. I wanted us to end by 6, but the conversation has been flowing so well, I just had to keep it going. Unfortunately, we cannot take questions at this time. But as like final words, I'll start with Omolara. For 2025, what do you think startups should look out for?
In terms
whether
of
in your industry or just generally, what's advice you would give to founders for 2025?
I think it's going to be to fight to stay alive. Just try to stay alive. That's what my co-founder and I tell each other. Like, if we can stay alive, we are going to make it. Like, just stay alive. Just try to stay alive, and as much as possible, try to build a profitable business. Something that does not necessarily depend on VC funding. As much as possible, operate very lean. That's what we currently do. As much as possible, cut costs, what you can automate, like you said earlier. So that's
fantastic, amazing. Datamellon, anything for us?
Well, for me,
even from your industry and how AI is growing, what can you share?
For me, the year 2025 is going to be amazing, and I'm very sincere about it.
Yeah.
If you put your heads down and put your eyes out, you see really, really amazing stuff. So what I'll just say is that startup to start looking at how they can start integrating this, technologies into their
business
system,
processes,
not just their solution,
Mm.
your system, your process entirely.
Yeah.
Start looking at, okay, where can it come in? What can it do for you?
Yeah.
Even as a matter of fact, your lifestyle is going to be part of it, whether I like it or not, because they are going to be shipping this thing into your phones and you interact with, So start looking into it, and it's going to be an amazing year coming.
Fantastic. Luther,
Yeah, I mean,
final words.
I'll take both of their points, right? Nigeria, the forecast is not. I've not seen any bright forecast. Like she said, try and maintain, keep the lean, keep the lights on, survive, but also be very hopeful for a brilliant year, because the same crazy stories, there are still people who cashed out this year, right?
Yeah.
There are opportunities, adjacent opportunities that you need to open your eyes and look at, because for us, in my company right now, we are planning some pivots that would change the game for us.
Oh wow.
So you need to try and explore, even that, despite everything going on. So, but I mean, stay alive at the end of the day. It's full of surprises.
Wow.
I don't know what else is coming next year. You would think that you've seen the worst, but
some more.
Can prove you wrong.
Honestly.
Stay alive, do your best. Hope that and hope for God to help you out. Nigeria,
you have to hold on to God. Hold on to something. Gbenga, final words.
It's been a kind of tough year. We had, in the travel space, we have multiple exchange rate fluctuations, and you can call the call center now and say you want to buy a ticket, and they tell you it's okay, 1.8 million, and okay, by the time you come back, exchange rate have gone up maybe by 10 or Naira. When you scale that up, within a day you can have exchange rate affected, because people don't understand that flight ticket is taken by exchange rate. So within a day, exchange rate can change like 3 times. And because you asked 1.5 million 1 hour ago, you think you'll come back. When the thing has changed, you will meet 1.5 million again. It's been a tough year that even for the airlines, the airlines themselves reduced capacities by over 50%. Because the cost of tickets went up. Exchange rate at one point affected, and they were unable to pull out their funds. But thankfully, Nigeria has been able to pay all the airlines, which is good news. Which is good news. CBN really worked on that with IATA, the travel agency association of Nigeria. They were able to pay off all the airlines, so all of them had to open their even when they opened the inventory, the pricing was still. So you hear from people say, I entered the plane was full. They're using a smaller aircraft. Last year they were using 777. They were using Dreamliners that would take 300 passengers. Now they scaled up to using the ones that do 220 to 30 passengers. So when you enter some of those aircraft, you say they are full compared to last year. The numbers the airlines did 2023 was crazy because exchange rate was far lower. So affordability was quite okay. This year it's a tough year for everybody in the travel space, and like I said, the evaluation showing that exchange rates, they are hoping that exchange rate just stays stable. They were able to stabilize it, but it was all fluke. At the end of the day, if you don't increase your exports, and your exports is what you need to increase to have more earnings.
Exactly.
Any other thing you are doing is just artificial. You are selling bonds, you are doing this, you're just artificial. It's only for a week or two. Before you know, the window stops again. People exchange rate one time was 1.6 some weeks back. All of a sudden just jumped to 1.750. Don't forget that you have people that play speculation games as well. So it's next year. What I'm looking at is how we're going to show that exchange rates is being a bit managed. That we're going to scale up, because if you scale up startups that are into exports, business, and all that, and we're able to make I think it's the service sector. You now need to be focusing on who are the people in the service sector, agriculture, so that you can have some level of exports out of the company.
Yeah.
Because you can't fully depend on oil the way it is right now. Because you still have the Russian, you have America, you still have all those things going on. So we can't make so much money from oil, really. So I'm hopeful that next year, like everyone has said, try as much as possible to find what will make you have cash flow as a startup. So make sure you build your cash flow, make your costs, reduce your cost margins, use automation. You just told me something about AI, which I'm taking into the new place I'm going into, that I'm going to use to streamline the operations, make the operations more efficient, so that AI powers most of the things that we're doing. So technology is one of the things we have to embrace for 2025. And I'm just hopeful that things will work out in the new year.
Thank you. I think the overarching advice is to be hopeful and keep the lights on. I mean, is not a surprising thing considering what the year has been like for everybody. Many businesses went under. Many businesses went under. But that's been it on this session of the Startup Lens. We hope to make this a quarterly program. So hopefully by March ending, we should be having another, and we'll have another set of founders come and share their experience, and we discuss topics that have made the news basically in that quarter, and we go off of that throughout the year. I'm Kemeshi Samuel, your host. I also host the Made in Africa podcast, which is responsible for this, and we are currently in Jamit Studios. Jamit powers everything that we've done today, including the Made in Africa podcast. It's quite unfortunate that our two other guests couldn't join us, but hopefully some other time we'll be able to bring them on the show. That's been it. I'll catch you another time. Bye.
That was a good one. You know where time went.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.